This is a tale of two buildings, but this story is about much more than just wood and cement. It's a story about people, the people who have and will inhabit these buildings. It's a story of perseverance, faithfulness, generosity, and personal service. Most of all, it's a story of God's provision through the generations and how this generation builds on the work of those who came before us, those who have walked with God to meet the challenge and live the promise. First Presbyterian Church of Berkeley was established by a group of 27 individuals on March 31, 1878, just one day before the city of Berkeley itself was founded. This small group of people had the vision of ministering to the growing university community. The first church meetings took place in the Berkeley Gymnasium. 1 year later, in 1879, the first sanctuary was built. After just 6 years, this sanctuary could no longer accommodate its 296 members. A second sanctuary was constructed, and within 10 years, it could not hold its 424 members. In 1902, First Presbyterian Church of Berkeley purchased the property on this corner, the corner of Dana and Channing. The population of Berkeley was mushrooming, and so was the attendance at First Presbyterian Church. In 1908, the first sanctuary opened here on the corner of Dana and Channing, with a new pastor, Lapsley McAfee. In 1922, the lot south of the sanctuary was purchased for parking and youth activities. Membership dropped after a congregational split in 1944, but shortly thereafter resumed its growth to over 3,000 members under head pastor Robert Boyd Munger. In 1949, the Christian Education Building along Dana Street was completed. 10 years later, the second wing of the Christian Education Building was dedicated. During the 1960s, Berkeley found itself in the midst of a cultural and sometimes literal battleground. Attendance dwindled drastically during this troubled time, and in 1971, when the sanctuary was declared unsafe by the fire department, it would have been easy and convenient to leave this corner where rioters were routinely breaking windows. Instead, the decision was made to live out the church's mission on the corner of Dana and Channing. A new sanctuary was built, lined with glass windows, open and visible to the community, and was dedicated in 1975 under Pastor Earl Palmer. First Presbyterian Church of Berkeley experienced a season of growth in spiritual dynamism, educational and counseling ministries, community outreach, and attendance. In 1983, the expansion continued with the purchase of an apartment building on Hay Street, the historical building that became known to us as the Brown Shingle Building. A long process of legal and bureaucratic battles ensued as the church worked to define its property rights, while the city's Landmarks Preservation Committee held to its designation of this building as a structure of merit. In the end, through God's provision, working relationships with the city were healed, and potential dead-end disasters had become positive building blocks to the future. The 1990s saw continuing increases in the utilization of the facilities, and the Christian Education Building in particular. Each day, rooms were in use beginning at 6:30 in the morning and continuing often until late into the evenings. Concerns were being registered that even the children's classrooms were too crowded. So in 1998, the church formed a facilities task force, which began working on a master plan for the latest need to expand. It was their work and the work of countless others which has resulted in the structures you will soon see. The goal for the project was to build facilities that would show, inspire, and enhance our love for Jesus Christ, for one another, and for the world around us. This mission starts right here in Berkeley, near Telegraph Avenue, surrounded by the university. Just as our sanctuary walls expose our ministry to the neighborhood and the neighborhood to us, any new facilities would have to engage with our community and enhance our setting at Dana and Channing. This goal links our architecture to our specific location in Berkeley and to our love for Jesus Christ. In support of this goal, our objectives were to be engaged with the neighborhood, with each other, and with history, to be compatible with the current architecture and the neighborhood, to be sustainable by minimizing the initial and ongoing environmental impact, to be affordable, applying the best stewardship of our resources, and to be livable by enhancing the daily needs of the congregation, staff, and visitors. We want people to see into, walk around, and experience the beauty of our campus and the generosity of our spirit. We are called to be a worshiping community. Of course, worship can take place in any number of ways and variety of locations. In addition to our sanctuary, the newly added chapel will be a place to worship in a more intimate setting, and the prayer garden will be a place for personal worship and quiet reflection. Worship will also be a big part of what happens in the new adult and youth meeting rooms, as well as in the improved and expanded children's classrooms. We are called to be a witnessing community. Claiming the same faith that was behind the decision to build our sanctuary with glass walls, we have expanded the opportunity to share our campus with the community. The exterior courtyards and plazas provide both large open areas as well as more intimate settings in which to enjoy fellowship and interaction with one another in a highly visible and demonstrative way. We are called to be a caring community. Caring ministries at First Presbyterian Church of Berkeley take many different forms. Programs include the Street Meal, Suitcase Clinic, Celebrate Recovery, Stephen Ministry, and Christian Lay Counseling Services. In our newly expanded facilities, we have room to grow. The Christian Lay Counseling Service will be accommodated in the newly renovated McKinley Hall. The flexibility that this new space affords us will be key as we seek to love one another just as our Lord Jesus Christ loves us. And we are called to be an equipping community. Having the tools to grow and to teach others are key to our vitality and future as we seek to minister on this corner. Geneva Hall and McKinley Hall represent our commitment to the importance of providing a learning and enriching environment to members as well as the surrounding communities. These new facilities will not only provide a wide variety of resources that will support our current goals, but will also sustain yet unimagined needs in the future. Throughout the expansion process, God's promise to be faithful has been evident. He has surprised us by providing the right persons with the perfect skills at precisely the right time. Money has unexpectedly come in at incredibly opportune times. Favorable relationships have been developed with decision makers. The safety of our workers has been constant. The project has consistently come in on time and on budget. God has blessed us throughout this entire process, and we stand ready to face the challenge and live out the promise with passion and commitment as we enter the newest season in our church's life. In light of all that God has done for us, how then shall we live? The answer comes in the form of a vision statement crafted by the session and staff of First Presbyterian Church of Berkeley. In response to God's great love and for God's glory, our vision is to sow the gospel of Jesus Christ through word, prayer, deed, and community, cultivating personal transformation, social healing, and cultural renewal through a movement of churches and ministries that reconciles us, Berkeley, the university, the Bay Area, and the world to God in Jesus Christ.